Hey there, church, and welcome back to part 2 of this Unveiled podcast, where we are covering Cathy and Lyle and Stephen and Yesenia's amazing adoption story. I'm so excited for you to hear the rest of this story and be blessed by it. You ready, Cathy?
Ready.
Welcome to the Unveiled podcast. So, Stephen's here. He's got a name. You've adopted. What else? What else happens in the story?
Well, he hasn't been adopted yet.
Okay.
So, I mean, we haven't, we changed his name,
Right.
but it's not legal
official.
Yet. Okay.
Yes.
So, the kids go off to school on Monday, and my parents are there to help me that first week.
Isn't that wonderful?
And so, funny things. Okay, so have I had a baby shower? No, because we didn't have a baby. Guess who got to go to his own baby shower?
Oh.
Stephen. He got to go to 3 baby showers.
Oh
One was by the theater. I tell you, so many people from the theater. It was the youth, it was the adults, it was people that, had done shows with me or just knew me or just family or whatever.
Were people shocked that they didn't know that?
Well, I guess they were. By that time, I guess the word had gone around. Yesenia had a baby, and Cathy has it now.
Yes. They're probably oh yeah, that's why she had to wear the big denim dress and sit behind the piano
with a cummerbund to try to make her look thinner.
Yes, yes.
But so had that shower. We had my parents gave a big shower up in Dallas for all the family to come to. There was also a school shower where my school, at the time I was teaching at Sealy Elementary School. So if any of you out there had children that went to Sealy Elementary School in the late 80s and early 90s, I was their music teacher. In fact, there was a double classroom, and they had put together a gift for me where they made a quilt. And it was a beautiful blue and white. I still have it, of course. I'm not going to give it to Stephen.
Yeah.
But everyone in that class, and there was a double class. It was 40 kids. And they all did a white handprint on different kinds of blue cloth and put their name on it. And they quilted it. And it was a beautiful quilt for baby Stephen. I digress. So, we had showers, and Stephen got to go to all of his showers. In fact, so the first day of orientation for Yesenia and Alan was the first day of in-service for teachers at school.
Oh, my gosh.
And had I gone to prenatal? No. Had I gone to a doctor about adopting a baby? No. So guess who I took to school and in service to show off for show and tell.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
Day 3, he was, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. He was 3.5 days old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was showing off my baby, and everyone's looking at me, why did you bring the baby to school? I was like, why? He's perfectly healthy. He's like, he's 3 days old. You're not supposed to take him out of the house. Oh.
You have to learn.
Told me.
Yes, you have to learn.
No one told me. So everyone made a pact. Like, I won't hold him, but everyone wash their hands and, like touch, the baby's
little feet.
It's like, just, oh, he's so precious. It's like, but they didn't touch him. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But he went on field trips.
Oh my gosh.
His first 2 weeks of, it's like, did you take him to the grocery store? Yes. And the
what
baby
else
carried,
was I supposed to do? Yeah.
Luckily, he was a very, very healthy boy. He just spent a little time in the sun because he was a little jaundiced. But he was 3 weeks early, but perfectly healthy.
Wow. How much did he weigh?
He weighed 5'11". So a decent size. But
for a
still,
3-week early baby.
Yeah. And I remember one of the days that first week, Alan was going to go back to school and finish moving in. And he said he wanted to come see Stephen, basically to say goodbye. He had already decided in his mind, even though he said, yes, I want to have contact with, the child. He didn't. He wanted to close that door. And he was saying goodbye. And it was so funny as he was standing there looking at him, and it was almost like he was afraid to touch him. And I said, why don't you hold him? And, I picked him up, let him hold him. And while he was looking at Stephen and touching Stephen and holding Stephen, I was giving them up and down. and doing inventory.
Oh my
Hair,
gosh.
eyes, chin, nose. I mean, of course, you can't tell him with a newborn.
Yeah.
But I could tell he had Alan's toes.
Oh my gosh.
And he has Yesenia's fingers. I knew that already.
Yeah.
But, I was doing inventory so that I would, because people will say, oh, he looks so much like you. No, he doesn't. He's adopted.
You can say, actually, he looks like this, and he's got his studs this.
Yeah, he's half Hispanic, y'all.
Yes.
So if you look at Lila and me, it's like, there's, it's like, we'd be ghosts. Even Lyle jokes about himself being Casper.
Oh my gosh.
But I just wanted to have something to identify. It's like, because when you grow up, you're going to ask questions like, who do I look like? Well, this, and your ears are this, and your torso is this. He's, that's what I was doing. And then about a month after we had him, maybe a month and a half after we had him, we got filed with papers.
Okay.
And the tables turned.
Ugh.
And fraternal grandma wanted to have visitation. And the visitation she wanted was more than a father usually gets in a divorce.
And she wanted it personally, not for son.
Oh, she wanted it for herself.
Okay.
She wanted grandmother's rights. And she wanted more visitation than most fathers get in a divorce. And so she filed I guess it's a civil suit against us or whatever. I don't remember. I try to block that. So that started, and she still wanted to see him, which was fine. But she wanted to take him home. Again, she would not let us get to know her. You're not going to take our baby away from us.
Right.
We didn't know. What are you going to do? Run off to Wisconsin where your family is? Are you going to steal him? Or,
right.
We didn't know her, and we're not going to let the baby out of our sight. If you had gotten to know us beforehand,
right.
But you don't want it. You don't even talk to us.
Right.
She would bring a friend, and they would talk to us for her. So that was very difficult. So we were going back and forth with our lawyer and her lawyer, what was going to happen. And then the week before Christmas, on December 17th, we got filed with adoption. She was going to adopt him out from under us after having him in our home for 4 months.
Oh my gosh.
And there was a little addendum, kind of a, since you're not moving fast enough for me and you're not agreeing to what I want, I'll just adopt him. Yesenia had already signed over her rights the week after he was born.
Right.
Because that was agreed upon. Alan had agreed to sign over his rights. But his mom had threatened him the week after Stephen was born, the week he was starting college, I will not pay for any more college if you sign over your rights. You're not going to take my rights away from me. You're the only one that has the upper hand now.
Oh my, how scary.
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
So starting in December, right around Christmas, I wanted to distance myself from Stephen.
Because you were afraid.
And she could take him away from us. Although she claimed she didn't want to.
She could have.
So, lots of things happened between, it was a lawsuit. And July 2nd, the lawsuit was over.
Okay. But that was a long lawsuit.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So July 2nd, he became officially and legally Stephen Paul Clark. And there was much rejoicing.
I was going to say, was there a big celebration?
Yes, there was. I still celebrated. Nobody else in the family does. I have to remind Stephen, today's adoption day. He says, who cares, Mom? Lyle, like, whatever. You're the only one that cares. Like, well, fine.
You worked hard to get there.
But with the adoption, she got grandparent rights, and those rights were visitation of 4 hours every week 5 hours, 4 hours once a week, and then 5 hours twice a month on a weekend or something like that.
Right.
Again, I don't want to revisit that. It was something like, it might have been, no, I think it was 4 hours once a month. So it was 4 hours every week, 4 hours once a month on a weekend. She preferred Sunday, which is fine, you know. And then, because she was already in town for church anyway. And then if there was a fifth week, week or weekend, then she would get 5 hours on an additional week.
What an interesting.
So that's a lot of grandparent visitation.
That's a lot.
And you know, so we had to honor that. That was a court ordered visitation. Still, we wanted her to just be grandma and just to call us by the phone. And if it had been once a week, I don't think we would have cared.
Right.
But the fact we had to fight
ruined a relationship you could have had.
It caused a big chasm and mistrust and animosity. And I'm going to be honest, I really hated her. There was a lot of hate in my heart. It was constant. You know, when you thought you're going to try your best to get along, and it's just this constant. I could care less what you need or you know, what I've agreed to, and I'm going to do my own thing. Or she would have him, and she would be late bringing him back.
Which, as a mom, I'm sure that not only as a mom, but as a mom who fought so hard to get him, that was probably a little terrifying at certain points.
Well, it also has to do with our scheduling.
Right.
You know, it's like if you're going to take him right after church and you're going to have several hours, we might have had something planned in the evening with family or with friends, or we were going to go this or we were going to do that. And we're waiting for him to show up. So we're having to call people and say, sorry. It got better after about 5 years. About 5 years, it got a lot better. Because after 5 years, we started talking and communicating better.
Right.
And we got honest with each other after several years, with a lot of the bickering and fighting and the legalism was gone. And it was just two people watching Stephen on the playground at the park or something during the exchange of either dropping him off or picking him up. And we would end up visiting, letting him play.
Right.
We both softened, and we both got honest with one another, and we shared this is why stories, and this is why I was so angry. This is why we felt that you didn't respect us, and you could care less, and you know, you were disrespectful of our time, and you would always bring him back with a wet diaper, change his diaper, or you know. These are things that happened that just set us on edge constantly, and being that we were angry already, we wouldn't let it go.
Right.
And so God is so good. Church, I'm telling you, when you have anger and hatred in your heart, and sometimes, I want to say righteous, maybe not so righteous, but maybe justifiable. Maybe not righteous, but justifiable. There you go. Not righteous, justifiable. When you pray and say, God, help us tolerate each other, and then help us appreciate each other, and then help us forgive each other. And
it's a process.
Woo!
Slowly can start coming off.
Because I was so consumed, really consumed. Just the thought of her, or knowing that her day was coming. But I can honestly call her a friend. I care about her. I will call her on the phone and I will say, I haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on with you? And during her time when her mom passed and when her dad passed and when things were going on with her family, I would call and check on her.
Right.
And we'd go, and we went hiking one time at a state park and just visited all day long. So
what a blessing.
But we had to take that time and get over our own personal whys to try to see each other's whys.
Right.
And whether we agreed or not, just to respect them and to move on. And I stay more in contact with her than Stephen does.
I think you told me that the other day.
Weird. I have to remind him. It is her birthday. You might, or don't forget to call her too. I know you don't talk to her very often, but say Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't need to do that, but so that.
But it shows your heart that you care for her.
Yes.
To do that.
But couldn't have done it without God.
Gosh, the whole story. I mean, like we've just said several times, the story is just so perfectly written to show God's goodness, and the fact that even when we feel like, what is my answer? Why am I struggling? How long will I struggle? He's still right there, and he's still writing it. And, we can look back and go, oh yeah, I didn't see it then, but I see it now. It's so amazing. Can you talk a little bit, because I think it's so amazing. We haven't talked about it just yet. The relationship that you and Yesenia and your family has with Yesenia still. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know Yesenia or don't know who she is a local singer. Again, you might know her from Circle Arts Theater. She also performs lots of times at the Brontex. She does her own shows at the Brontex, her tributes and things like that. She won she won New Braunfels Got Talent, either the first or second year that they started that. And since then, she's always been invited back to do a tribute or a concert of her own. She also performs at Krause's once a month with her band, The Groove Doctors. So we see her in performances. Lila and I will go to her performances. A couple of weeks ago, Stephen was in town on a weekend that Yesenia was performing, and so we took him and surprised her. Look who's here!
Yes.
So, and Stephen's very musically inclined himself, and has played in a school band. He was a percussionist. His instrument is the marimba, and he did steel drum band in high school.
Oh, neat.
And junior high and high school. He was in the steel drum band, and a couple of years in, the director said, "We need somebody to sing the song," and she asked Stephen, "Hey, would you sing the song?" And Stephen's like, "I don't sing in front of people." He said, "I can sing, but I hate singing in front of people." He sang. There was a few songs, and so when that song came up, he would sing. And there were times that Yesenia would get up on stage and sing with him.
No way.
And they would do duets. In fact, a few years ago, Yesenia was going to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for Christmas at the same time that we were going to be in Dallas-Fort Worth area for Christmas. My parents, all of my family lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we knew that we were only going to be like 15 minutes apart, if that. And we invited them over and said, just come over. And I don't know if it was Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, part of the weekend. And so she came over, and, we had a meal together and exchanged some gifts. And her Christmas gift to us, she and Stephen sang "Baby, It's Cold Outside."
Oh my gosh.
With their phones, with the lyrics and stuff. And, they were just singing, with the music playing, and they were sharing and they just sang "Baby, It's Cold Out," a little duet between the two of them for the family.
How cool.
It was just kind of very impromptu. It was just weird and funny, but he's very musically inclined, and he couldn't help it. His biological mom and dad are both musicians. That's what Alan does. He's a musician, plays many instruments, and plays instruments on other people's albums. He writes his own music, and he's up in the Chicago area. I think it's Milwaukee, Chicago area. And of course me.
Yeah. He didn't have any choice.
He had no choice. But so, yeah.
Wow.
And growing up, whenever he had music recitals, and if there was maybe not a contest, but, things where he was performing the whole, like if you're in marching band, you do bits and pieces for weeks. And then finally when you get near a contest, you actually do the whole show. So when he was about to do his whole show, we would invite the two families. Hey, come see Stephen in this. Come see Stephen's piano recital. Come.
Oh, how cool.
For his graduation,
Mm-hmm.
All the families were invited. We had a graduation party in a neutral place at Circle Arts Theater.
How cool!
We had
all full circle.
And we invited everyone there, and Alan came down for his graduation.
Wow.
Which was, he has had times where he's seen him because Stephen's invited to family things with that family, and Alan's in town, and I would always say, so what did y'all talk about? Not much. He was like, how are you? Good. Okay.
And you told me in my office a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this that family is obviously very, very important to you. And so him knowing these things about his family was also something that was important to you and Lyle. So that's probably a connected, aha moment for them to finally, that's like the one missing piece,
yes, It is. It was always very, very important that he know all of his family, and he was loved by all of his family. And there was never a time. He always grew up. People would say, well, when did you tell him? When did we not tell him?
Yeah, he knew.
It was always, Yesenia's your birth mom. And it was funny, when he was about maybe 4, he was about 4, and he said something about, he was explaining how he came to be. And he explained it that I couldn't have a baby, and so God gave my baby to Yesenia so that she could have me. And
what a wise thing for a 4-year-old to say.
But that's the way he described it at a very, very young age, that he was always mine, or ours. But since I could not have the baby that Yesenia had, that God gave Yesenia, our baby.
I got goosebumps again. Like, that is just so, beautiful is not even a strong enough word, but, from the mouth of a 4-year-old to perfectly in his world describe, because y'all did such a wonderful job of making sure he knew at a young age where he came from, and that even though there were 2 different moms and 2 different types of moms, and 2 different types of dads, he was so loved. And it sounds like that's still the case today. I think that a lot of adoptive moms need to hear this podcast, because I think the way that you have just kind of described things is just really amazing and really wonderful. And so I would kind of like for you, if you could, if there's an adoptive mom that's listening right now or watching, what's one piece of advice that you could, I'm sure there's lots, but what's one piece of advice that you could give to them as they are on their journey?
It's a tough one. Every story is very different, as you know. We were very blessed in knowing the people that we got our baby from. But it's really hard, and my husband has struggled with, because he's not as close to Yesenia, and I guess he still harbors some hard feelings with the other family. But the more you can expand your heart to try to love and be gracious and giving to the biological family, if you have an open adoption, the more blessed you're going to be. And you'll see things differently, but you have to take your own jealousies, selfishness out of the equation to be able to do that. And that's hard, because you want to, a lot of people say, well, I sometimes I'll say, Yesenia's his birth mom, or I might accidentally say the mom, someone will say, she's the mom. I was like, well, she's the birth mom. Mm-hmm. And so if someone says, they're the mom. Don't be upset and hurt by that. It's just ignorance and it's just innocent. Yes, they're the one that birthed them, but just correct them gently, and agree. Agree first, and then yes, the birth mom. That helps people not feel like they've offended you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you're going to be offended if you take things too personally or too selfishly, or if there's any jealousies there. You're the mom. You're the mom. You're the nurturer. And the other people in the family are just gifts and blessings of love. What's wrong with that? So I guess.
loved that. Gifts and blessings of love. Because when you were saying, I was like, oh yeah, they kind of are. Extra is not the right word. I couldn't think of the right word. They're, extra people to love your child, but gifts and blessings of love is a perfect way to look at it.
I'm going to turn the table.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Funny story.
Okay.
Okay, so Stephen acknowledges that he came from Yesenia.
Yes.
When he was about 5, he decided, Mom, I want a brother. Can you call Yesenia and ask her to have a brother for me? And I called her. I said, Yesenia, guess what Stephen wants? He wants you to give him a brother.
And what did she say?
I can't say it on camera. But she said, no. Not just no.
Yes. This is not we're not walking up and ordering a brother.
But how she laughed so hard. And I said, but does that tell you how comfortable he is
So
with that situation? In that, okay, well, if I want a brother, I can't barking up the wrong tree here.
I'm going to go to Yesenia.
Go to the source.
Yes. How funny.
But that's just, a funny story. And Stephen's an adult now. He's 24 in 2 months.
Please tell the podcast what he is about to do, because I think that is even more amazing. I mean,
Stephen is about to move to New York City. It's always been his dream to go to school there. He wanted to go to college up in the Northeast. He wanted to be in the colony area, and especially New York City. He loves it there. He feels comfortable there. That's just where that's his happy place.
Right.
So with his company of Capital One, he doesn't work on the banking side. He works on the tech and the behind the scenes, like the hub side of programming and all that stuff with numbers and stuff. I don't get.
Isn't it nice to have techie people in our life so that we don't have to be techie?
Yeah, we can just say thingy won't do this and that and the other, and they roll their eyes and go, okay, I get it. Yeah, he's with Capital One, and they have an office in New York, and so he has asked for a transfer, got the transfer, and he'll be moving to New York City in August.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
When he graduated from college, I already said that we had a big party at high school. When he graduated from college, or actually when he moved into college, his moving into the dorm, we called Yesenia and said, what you doing? Would you like to help move Stephen into his college dorm?
Oh, that's so cool.
She couldn't believe it. And she was there.
That is so
helping
cool.
him move in. And again, anything that we could invite her to. And there were times of her journey where she needed to have distance, or she felt like she should have distance. As a mother giving your child up for adoption, there's a lot of guilt there.
Yeah.
And it can, show its ugly face from time to time, feeling like, who am I? And I don't matter. And I'm just a distraction, or I don't know what she went through. But I know that there were times that she did distance.
Yeah.
When he graduated from college, we had a little party, invited all of the outlaws.
Right.
The in-laws and the outlaws.
All the gifts of love and blessing.
And so it was just a fun time to celebrate him. And so.
He's a lucky guy.
He is. He's just wonderful. He's very, very blessed. And so are we. I have never told this much of the story at one time.
Well, I feel blessed then.
Yeah, it's usually just been, little bits and pieces, little stories of, oh, this happened, that happened.
Yes.
But you got a lot of it today.
We got a lot of it. Yeah, you said more than you did the other day, which I'm so glad for. I didn't know there could be more because it was just so, it's a beautiful story.
When you let go and you let God, boy, does God do.
He does. He does. So,
and he's still doing. He's still moving and shaking.
That's right. Man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, Valerie.
You bet. Thank you for blessing everybody with this amazing story, because I know that it's going to touch a lot of people. And I've really felt very honored to sit here and just chat with you about it. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet.
It's been great. Thank you, church.
You bet. Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for watching the Unveiled podcast today, and we will see you next time. Bye.